In this episode, we start to wire up all those melted and burnt wires on the front bumper. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode. So today we're going to start preparing the front bumper. We're going to put the lights in. They've all arrived, and I have also some trim that I need to fit to the front bumper so we can get this front bumper fitted onto the car finally. But before we do that, I'm going to be doing some wiring on the front. So all the wiring for the fog light on the near side and the horn wire, it all needs to be redone, and also I need to change a few fuses. So let's get on and do that right away so that we can get the front bumper mounted and get this car almost ready for the road. Okay, so we've spoken about this in a previous episode. The horn, as you can see, was melted and I thought it was damaged, so I thought I had to get a new one. But actually what I did was I tested it and the horn actually works just fine. So the issue is just the fuse is gone. So today what we're going to be doing here, all this is the wiring for the fog light that goes on the front bumper, and also the horn, and then the additional light that goes down to the bottom, which we're not going to be using. So we're going to replace all of that. You can see that I've cut a couple of the wires here, so that's the horn wires that I was using to test to see if it was working, and then you can see the horn wires down here as well. And then we've got the fog light wires that are definitely all they've done is melted and bonded together and have shorted out. So we're going to replace them with some new wiring, and I'll show you what we're going to be using. So we've got a Halford special here. So what I've got is black and red 5 amp cabling. I've got some additional cabling as well. That should be okay for the lights, but the 5 amp is we need that. And rather than buying 4 different colors, I'm just going to compromise and use the color, because I'm going to wire them straight to the cable, so they'll never be seen again once they're behind the bonnet, unless someone takes the bonnet off. And yes, I know, for the faithful wiring brigade out there, I am cheating. I'm using some cable lock connectors, just simply because it's quick and easy to do using these. Rather than soldering them. My soldering isn't particularly good, and I'd rather have a decent connection, and I've used these in the past and they're pretty good, but I know that the faithful hearted out of you will want to solder them, but trust me, these connectors work very well. And I've got some fuses here to replace the fuses that have been shorted out for the fog lights, etc. And then tied it all up in the middle here. We've got some electrical tape, so I'm going to strap it all up like it would do but on the factory, and that should do it. So we need to get on and crack on and do that. And with all things electrical, if you're doing anything electrical in the car, you want to make sure that you disconnect the battery. So let's do that now. So our battery is now safely disconnected, which means that we can work on the system and make sure that or assure that we're not going to short anything out. And I've got my multimeter here as well, which I'll be using to test the circuit. If there's any problems, we can use that to test. Right, okay, so we're going to get on and get this repaired. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this on camera or do this off camera, but I'm going to certainly try and do this on camera, and you can see me working through this cable. Okay, so that's the wiring done. I'm going to now install the fuse. So I've taken the liberty of taking out the 10 amp fuse, and what I'm going to do now is put one back in. Okay, so that's the wiring sorted. Now what we're going to do is just put this fuse back in, And then once we get that back in, then we can test the horn to see if that works, and then we can then wire it up. So let's get that back in there now. Here you go, fuse back in. Now let's go and test the horn. And of course, before we do that, two things that we need to do. We need to connect the horn up first of all. So we're gonna grab this connector here. I haven't taped this up if you're wondering why it's all loose. I'm just doing it all loose. So we'll get this connector, plug that in, and then I'm going to get the old battery. I'm going to put that in for now, and then we'll just tighten the battery up. Okay. Right, let's go and test the horn now. Okay, so the horn is working just fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bundle all these wires together and then tape them all up into a reel. I am fairly confident that the lights are going to be working, but just before I do, let's just test the lights first to make sure they are working. You can never be too sure, so let's test them first. Perfect, that light works just fine. So what I'm going to do now, I'll disconnect the cable and then I'll tape up all the wiring loop. Now that we know that everything is working, then we can start assembling this into the bumper. Okay, so that's the wiring all done. That's all now protected and insulated and renewed. So I'm happy with that. Horn is now reconnected back up, which is good. So, and what I've done, this is the wiring. This is not connected to anything, this one here. It's basically for a fog light. So this car didn't come with fog lights, so Fiat fit the wiring anyway. You have to turn it on using the multi-scan. So I'm going to leave this in here just in case the new owner wants to use it in the future. But what I've done, I've disconnected the black here. I've cut the black cable so it can't short out, because this wiring here is damaged, and rather than get rid of this and then that's not being available, I'll leave that in there loose as it was. So right, so now we can start assembling the bumper and putting the lights in the bumper. As you can see down here, I've got the headlight here that I need to put back, and I also have the that's the daylight running lights, which now work in this car, and that's the Mark II one in the Mark I Fiat, and they work brilliantly. So instead of getting the standard bulb, you get the LED one here, which is nicer, I think. All right, so the car's coming together well. Let's I'm going to fit the bumper back on. I'm going to fit the headlight back on first, and then we're going to address the bumper. Okay, so I'm going to clean up the front of the car now. So this black area here with some Auto Finesse Verso diluted 5:1. Just going to give it a good old clean up before we fit the bumper, and I need to just fit a fog light to the bumper as well, the other fog light. So one's in, just got to do the other one. We'll do this first and then we'll go and fit the fog light. We're not going to fit the bumper today, and that's only because we need some trim still that has to be inserted from behind. I thought I had everything, but I don't. I'm missing 2 bits, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to fit the bumper properly, but we will do a soft fit, so it will be in place but just not bolted in to place finally. and we'll be able to see the running lights and everything working. So in the meantime, let me just clean this area up and then we can get that sorted. Okay, that looks better. I will give the engine bay a proper clean once we've fitted the bumper properly and finished all the other bits and pieces, but at the moment it's just a very light clean just to tidy things up a bit and just make it look pleasant so when we put the bumper on. Okay, let's go and sort the bumper out now. Okay, so a little bit of heads up in regards to the bumper. So these bits around here, they were quite pitted and you can see the black. So what I've done is I've cheated. I have painted, but it hasn't gone to a body shop. I've done it. So what I've done, I've just got some paint. So I bought some paint from this company here, U-Pol, Scratch Doctor. They do this color. It is an absolute perfect match. I mean, I've painted all of this side and I've just given it 2 top coats of lacquer, and you can barely see, no, in fact you can't see the blend. It's such a perfect match. Like I said, most paints are computer match, so they come out exactly. And I saw this with the Corsa when I got some paints for the Corsa, and I sprayed the edges of the bumper like I'm going to do with this car, because this has got a couple of scuffs on the bumper that I'm going to make look good. And I found that the actual paint was perfectly matched, and this is the reason why we're going down this route. But just to make the bumper look better, because you never get these things in good conditions, because don't forget, these things are, the bumpers are the front barrier. It's the thing that takes all the impact, all the stone chips, etc. So this one, although was in pretty good condition, and most of the marks have come off with just me using some cutting compound, some of it was deep enough that it needed to be painted. So that's just around the edge around here, and I've done that now, so that's all done. So I've got a few little bits that I need to just do, and I'm going to do that with a compound, so it's got some like marks that will easily come off. And once I've done that, I'll then turn the bumper over, and then we'll fit the fog light and the daylight running light, and then we should be able to then do a fit to the car. So I'm going to crack on and do that right now. Okay, so it's time to fit the light into its housing. So basically simple fit, just 3 bolts, and then that secures it into place. So yeah, nothing more to say on that other than to go ahead and do it. Okay, so the badge of honor. So this is the, I've got 2 trims available. I've got obviously the badge and the side, and I've also got this front grille which goes here, but from behind. Now what I'm missing are the pods there, and they fit from behind as well, so they're screwing from behind, so I don't have those to fit the bumper. So I could fit the bumper today, and I'm going to do a soft fit to test the lights, etc., but I can't finish it until I get those in, so it's kind of pointless actually. You know what, I'm not going to fit it today, but I am going to fit the grille. So we'll fit the grille of honor, and then I think we'll be ready to go. And then once we get all the trim, then we'll fit the bumper, and then I think that would mean that I only have to do it once. All right, so let's get this on anyway, at least. Okay, so that's the bumper all sorted for today. Like I said, I am missing this bit here, and this bit here is a 2-piece bit. So there's a bit of plastic, black plastic, that sits into here, and then the chrome screws into there. So if anyone has that, hook me up on the comments below or email. And I also need these bits here. Now I believe it comes in 2 different types. It comes with one with a fog light and one which is just a standard trim. If anyone has a standard trim version for both sides, that will be great. Once we get that, we can then fit this bumper up and we're good to go. Until then, we're kind of in limbo. Oh, I need a towing eye as well. So if anyone's got a Bossa Nova, but I'm not really bothered about that, I'll buy one and then paint it, and then that will be that. But that's about it. So there's one more job that I think I'm going to have a tackle at today, and that is the burnt mark on the side of the door on the passenger side. So I'm going to have a quick go at that, and hopefully we can get that down to back to white, and then I can polish it up with my DA polisher, and that will be another job done, and it will just be the plastic trim. So let's crack on and do that. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to get rid of the yellow bit. There's a little yellow stain there, which is the heat damage to the lacquer. So we're going to try and rub that down so that we can get back to clear coat. And if we get that back to clear coat, then we'll be able to sand it or DA polish it, and that should complete that. Right, so I've got my sanding block. We're going to start off with a 600 grade paper, and then we'll work our way up to 8, and then 1000, and then we'll go to 1500, and then 2000. So let's see how we go on with that. Okay, so I've just sanded down the A-pillar, so now I'm going to give it a touch up as well, and we're going to see how that one comes out as well. And I'm also going to just go slightly further along here as well, because you can't see it in the camera, but I can just see just a bit of yellowing about here. So we're going to do this A-pillar here, and then we're going to go and do this bit here, and then that should be it. Then what I'll do after that, I'll give it a quick lacquer. The lacquer will come out thick, but I will be able to rub that down smooth with some 1200 grip paper. Okay, clear coat time. We'll give the car 2 or 3 coats rather of clear coat, and then we'll just take a look and see how it looks. Okay, that's coat 1 done. Now you may have seen me paint the windscreen. That's okay, because the windscreen is going to get replaced. I mean, it will clean up anyway, but I'm not bothered about the windscreen and protecting it since it's going. More important for me to get the coverage of the paint and lacquer all over the side where it's been damaged. So far it looks okay. It's blended in perfect. And actually I'm quite pleased with that. So I'll give it about 15 minutes to dry, then we'll give it a second coat, then we'll let it dry for a few hours, and then actually a couple of days, and then we'll cut it back. Okay, so this is the third and final coat that I'm going to give now. It's pretty thick as it is. I just want to give enough coat so that I can have enough lacquer to be able to play with when I flatten it down. It looks pretty good, to be fair, and I think I'm going to probably just get away with using the DAS polisher, but in case I do need to sand it, and I probably will sand it with some 2000 grey, just give it a light sand, it's going to allow me to be able to at least get it looking decent. So we'll give it a final coat, then we're going to leave it to dry for a couple of days before we come and start cutting it with some compound. Okay, so that's now all done. So I am very pleased with that. Actually, that's come out really well. So now we've just got to leave it to dry, and let's see how that comes out over the next few days. Should be just fine. You can probably maybe just see the blend there, which is I think it's just about there. That's where you see my finger, that's where the line is there. So it's really hardly noticeable. Well, you can see it now with the naked eye. You won't be able to see it at the camera, but once we blend that all in, then that will all look fine. So yeah, pleased with that. And of course it's now done. And while I was here, I took the liberty of doing the back as well. So rather than throw it on camera, I just painted that, so all that was blackened and everything right up to the arches here. But it's now all done, and that's with a rattle can. Very impressed with that. So we just got a few more bits now to add to the Fiat, and then that car will be finished, and then we can get that ready to be sold. So hopefully the bits will all come in this week, and then we can finish and fit them onto the car next week. Good. Okay, so that's it for this week. But just before we go, we've bought a new car. Yes, we have, and that's going to be coming this week, and I will be showing you the car next week. It's our first project car in a while, so we're going to keep this car. This is not going to be a flipper. This car is going to be here for a while, and hopefully what we'll be able to do is we'll have this car as a project car, so we'll be adding bits and pieces, doing the consumer testing, etc., and going to events with this car, and then we'll still be able to do other cars that we'll buy from Copar as well. So we have the two going. So I'm really quite excited about this. Been looking for this, and actually this car came about by accident. Now if you've seen this video, there is a clue in the video. See if you can find it and let me know in the comments below. So that's going to be it for this week. So don't forget to subscribe down below if you're seeing this for the first time, and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you're the first to see when we release new videos. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and I will see you next Monday.